Hello, this is the first day on the ETL testing training, and in this training what all I'm going to discuss, everything is listed over here till day 24, or it may be 25 days prox. I have listed all the topics which we'll discuss, and before moving on to the topics, the content related to ETL or reporting or BI, I want to discuss some of the frequently asked questions which people generally ask me within training, or the questions which we must discuss before jumping on to the topics of ETL. First one will be what will be the course duration. This is our training, and the course duration will be approx 25 to 30 hours, means it will take approx 5 to 6 weeks to complete that training. Okay, the contents which I'll discuss are being listed over here. Okay, and I'll share this complete sheet with all of you. And the second one, what all will be covered, I'll start with the very basics of database, because SQL is the language which I'm going to use, and on the SQL Server platform will work. And the second thing which we'll discuss is about the different formats of sources, the files which we have, and the Oracle database, its Express edition, which I'm going to use with SQL Plus as a utility for Oracle. And the tool which I'm going to implement is Informatica, and the reporting tool which I'll use is the IBM Cognos or Tableau. The free version, the trial version of these both I'll use. Is it necessary to learn SQL? Yeah, sure, because we are here for ETL, and within ETL 80% of the things are on SQL only. Okay, so in that case you must know the basics of SQL, and even in my training I'll have 2 to 3 days on the SQL basic commands only, so that if you know, then it's good. If you don't know, then you can follow my videos and the recorded videos which we have on our website. That will be very helpful for you. And will we work on project? Yeah, I'll work on the SQL server, one project on SQL server, and one inbuilt project within Oracle, that is HR. Within HR we have multiple sources, we have multiple tables. We'll work on all of the transformations which are possible to be implemented and which you could view on your project. And yes, very important, Informatica project we have, that is already created. I'll show you how all the transformations which we'll discuss in our training, how those are coming within that project. And will we get the link of recorded session? Yeah, I do record each and every day's session, and you will get the link to watch the recorded session. And if you miss any of the session, you'll able to watch that session. Okay, can we rejoin the live session? Yeah, you can join this session 2 times. Okay, you can pay once and join 2 times the same session. If you are not able to complete the current session, you can join the next session also. Okay, will we will I help you in your resume? Yeah, I'll give you the key things which you can mention in your resume, which will be very helpful to you to grasp the knowledge which you must have. I'll share each and everything. Okay, what is the scope of ETL testing? Yeah, it is a very Informatica tool is in very demand these days, and you'll even get a very good package within that. And it is more on the database part, the SQL, which is in a very good demand. What all are the clients in this session? I think only 2 of you are here for the time, and maybe you are new to testing, maybe you are experienced in some other testing, or maybe one of you may need help in project. So I'll start from the very basics, and I'll move on to step by step. I'll move on to the very high level things. And if you need some other things which I'm discussing in my class, in my session, the topics, you can ping me on Skype, you can ping me, you can mail me, so that we can add those topics also. Okay, will I help in your project? Yeah, surely. You can share your project with me within training or after training. I'll surely guide you within your project. And what are the prerequisites for the course? Only you must need to know about the basics of SQL. If you know Informatica, if you know the transformation, if you don't know, that doesn't matter, because I'm going to discuss each and everything. Okay, any other doubt other than these questions, the basic questions, not from the ETL, not from the reporting, not from the BI? Any doubt? Anything you want to ask? Okay, let's start with the topics for today. These all are the topics which I'm going to discuss on my day 1 of training, that is Let's start with the very impressive PPT I have already prepared. This is the day one, and what all I am going to cover is ETL as well as reporting within business intelligence, that is BI. Okay, so within BI I am going to cover ETL as well as reporting. A part of reporting and a part of ETL will be covered. So let's start. What is BI? BI is intelligence out of the business data. See, if I'm saying I'm going to work on ETL, surely something is going to come from the data. The data will be there for each and every kind of testing. And if I'm saying I'm going to implement BI, it means to get to find the intelligence. Intelligence means good things which will help you to take some of the decisions that you may need in your future. Okay, so if I am going to I'm going to fetch for the intelligence out of the collected data, that is called as BI. To fetch the intelligence, to get the intelligence out of the collected data, that is for any organization, that is for any business. Okay, that is for any company. Now, what is ETL? See, ETL again, like BI is business intelligence. ETL again comes with three different alphabets, that is E, T, and L. E here means extraction, T here means the transformations, and L is for loading. So for the time I'm going to take ETL as a complete single process, but ETL actually comes with three different processes. We'll discuss about all of three steps one by one. But for the time you can imagine ETL as one process, a single process. Okay, so ETL means I am going to fetch for the data. I am going to fetch the data and pass this data to the target data warehouse. Okay, the target data warehouse is the term which I am going to use, and you can also say that this is the target database, because target data warehouse, we'll discuss about this in our coming slides. But for the time you can imagine this ETL as to pass the data from one level to the another level. This is the source level and this is the target level. ETL is a process with the help of which I can pass my data from my source to the target. And then the last one is reporting. Reporting means to take some of the decisions on the collected data, and where that collected data on the target only. So on the target data, the target data warehouse, if I'm going to implement any of the analysis, if I'm going to add any of the analysis, if I'm going to work on the collected data, that we can say that this is the reporting. Okay, so BI comes with two terms, ETL and reporting. ETL itself comes with three terms: extraction, transformation, and loading. And reporting means to do the analysis on the collected data. Okay, so now let's move on to the more details. So what all are the list of jargons? As I was saying, data warehouse, the database as my source, data warehouse as my target, ETL process, reporting, and other than these four, we have some more jargons which we are going to discuss now. Okay, so what actually happens? This is the very important thing which you must know, what is actually happening. See, this is the source. On the source, we are going to implement ETL, and if we implement ETL process, it means some of the stagings will come, the areas in which I'll say some of my requirements are fulfilled. Then again I'll apply some ETL, some processes, and in the end I'll put my data within the target data warehouse. So this is what we are discussing. Database is going to be my source. Data warehouse, this is again the database, but at some level it is different. It is a bigger database, you can say. Okay, I'll tell you how these both are different and how these both are same. But for the time you can imagine this as, from the database I am going to pass my data to the data warehouse with the help of ETL process. And reporting we'll do. See, on my data warehouse we are going to apply the reports. We are going to make the reports. Okay, again this is reports. Now what are data marts? Data marts, here data marts means the data from the data warehouse. See, the data is again coming from the data warehouse only. data from the data warehouse, but with one condition, as it must be coming from the single type of dimensions. Okay, that is again in more details we need to know about data marts and data cubes means multiple dimensions, but again the data is coming from data warehouse only. Okay, OLTP, OLAP will discuss about all one by one, but I hope the basics, what is database, what is data warehouse, what is ETL process, reporting, marts, cubes, a part of that is clear to you. Now, let's start with in more details about database and in data warehouse. So what is database? What do you think? How we can define the database? Can we say that database is nothing but the collection of multiple tables for any of the organization? I can define the database like this, right? A database is a collection of multiple tables, and within tables what all will be stored? The data will be stored. Okay, so I can say that database is the data storage, and data is in the format of tables, and within table, see, within table multiple columns will come that we call as entities. So these are the two things will complete the database. A database is a collection of tables, a table is a collection of columns, and within columns entities we store, and the type of data which can be stored within that column, within that table, within that database is the data type. These three. Clear? Now here one thing, works at backend. What does it means? Backend means something that is not in the front part of any organization. Let's say if it is your Facebook account or your Twitter account, within that we may have millions of users. Okay, and the data stored, maybe that person to have the privacy that no one can view its data, it's only that person can view. But the data which that person, the person whose account is this, that person view that data, or that account, that details can be viewed by any person, but surely the data is stored somewhere, and that somewhere is called as the backend. Backend means that is not working in the front end. Okay, so on the backend database is present, and within database we have tables, we have columns, and the type of data which can be stored, it can be of integer, it can be of gender type like male, female, the salary, the age of the person, the address of the person. Okay, so now what is command? Command means if I am saying I want to create my database, it means surely if I want to create the table, if I want to add the columns, if I want to add the data type, that means some commands will be there. Command is nothing but a kind of query which I am going to run on my database to add, to create the instances, to create the definition, to add something, to update something, to provide some of the controls that are again a part of command. Now last thing is left, constraint. Constraints means the conditions. The conditions which one can apply on the type of data. Like say if you are within your you have your bank account, and within that account you have your debit card. There is a pin. There is a pin in that debit card that is surely can't be blank. If you have debit card, then that ATM pin should be there. So that is a kind of constraint that it can't be null. And one more thing, that there may be the condition that your pin should be unique, or you can also say that your account number for a bank should be unique for each and every person. That are the constraints. And the type of data that can be stored, you can't store the alphabets, you can't write the string in the in your age. Like if the field is age, the type of data which can be entered is integer only. You can't write TWENTY 20, you must write 2020 for your age. These are something that are constrained. Or maybe the constraint is you can write only string values. Okay, so these all are the things which you must be sure about. Okay, so these are the very basic things about the ETL and within the database. The next thing which you must know is about data warehouse. So what is data warehouse? As I was saying, there is something that is common in between data and the data warehouse. What is database? Database is nothing but the collection of data, and data warehouse is again the collection of data, but instead of data I can say that this is the information. Okay, so database, if I say this is my database, then I can say that the complete database as well as some of the valuable information about that database is the data warehouse. Okay, so data warehouse is database plus some of the information. Or if I want to say it if I want to explain it in a process, I can say that it is the process of assembling and managing data from various sources to answer business questions. So what are these business questions? That means to do the analysis. That is what I was saying about this analysis on the collected data, because that analysis are going to be done. This analysis can be done on the data warehouse only. Okay, any doubt till this? Data warehouse reporting means to make some of the decisions, what all are being asked, how we can give answer. Any doubt till this? This is the definition for data warehouse. Now I'll discuss about some more terms which are being used within data warehouse, like OLTP, OLAP, business data, what is business data warehouse, marts, cubes, reports. So let's start. What are data sources? See, if anyone wants to put data within data warehouse, then surely there must be the sources. The source from where I want to fetch, I want to put, I want to read the data. That are the data sources. And OLTP is online transactional processing. See, within OLTP, the data is stored in the format of databases. That is very important to understand. So data sources are the initial storage where the data is being stored at its initial stage. And after doing some of the operations, we are going to put the data, we are going to pass the data on the data warehouse. And what are these operations? Can you please tell me? How can I put my data from data sources from the database to data warehouse? That is with the help of, see, ETL process. This is what I am going to discuss. Okay. So this is what I need to know. So what is business data? The data which is present within data sources, the data which is present within databases are the raw data, and the data which is present within data warehouses, the business data, on which we can make the decisions. And next is about OLAP. It's online analysis process. It means if I want to make any analysis on the collected data that is within data warehouse, we are going to work with OLAP system. Okay, to perform the analysis on the data stored in data warehouse. This is what that is something that you must know before moving on to the ETL, before moving on to the flow of data. That's why I'm discussing. So what are data marts? The thing which I was explaining about data warehouse, it's database plus some of the valuable information. Remember, if it is my database, then this is the database plus valuable information will make one data warehouse. So now data marts means the data corresponding to any one of the dimension, any one of the term, we can say this is the data mart. And data cubes means multiple dimensions will make one data cubes. So how cube looks? How cube actually looks? Cube looks this and this, and I'll say I am going to wait a minute. So multiple dimensions will make one cube. 1, 2, 3. So how many dimensions are there? 3 dimensions. 1, this is second dimension, and this is the third dimension. So 3 dimensions will make a cube. We may have multi-dimensional format also. And if I say a data mart, that is for the single part of data warehouse. Okay, any doubt till this? Any doubt? Okay, now about the some more differences. What is the difference between database and what is the difference between data warehouse? Can you please tell me? Any one of you? Yeah, what is the difference between database and data warehouse? I'm not asking for any technical thing, but only from the things which I just discussed from last 20 minutes. Okay, so that is coming from OLTP and OLAP, right? With the things which you said. But I am saying this. See, this is the definition. The database is only the raw data and the data warehouse is the business data, right? In the very simple terms, how I can say how the database and data warehouse is different. So database is the raw data, correct, and data warehouse is the business data. The business data means on which I can perform some of the analysis, and OLTP means the daily records will be stored, that the daily records will be surely the up to date, the new records. But within data warehouse, if I want to make any of the analysis, if I want to do any of the analysis, then surely current data, that means up to date data, plus the historical data will be there. This is the reason of saying that the database is only this and the data warehouse is the database plus some more valuable information. Okay, and this complete will make data warehouse, and this is the database, and this is the valuable information. That is, so how can I say that database and data warehouse are different? Because within data warehouse only OLAP system, OLTP, not OLAP, OLTP, that is daily records, that is the current records, that is the raw data will be stored, that is the up to date data will be stored. But within data warehouse, what all will be stored? Within data warehouse, all the details of databases plus this valuable information, that is, this is what? This is the business data, that's it, on which we can perform some of the analysis, that is OLAP system will be there. Okay, this is something which I can define, which I can say in the very simple terms for the database and data warehouse. And now one more thing, database is normalized form, but data warehouse is denormalized form. What does it mean? Normalized and denormalized. If I again take the same example, this is what I have. This is for database, that is always OLTP, that is always the current data, that is always the new data will be stored. But within data warehouse we need the business data, that is here the historical data will be stored. So what kind of historical data? How can I say? Let's say within our database we have a table as this is for the database for retail application. We have employee table. Within employee table we have EMP ID, EMP name, and the phone number of the person. Okay, this is the outline of my database. So you can also relate these things, the topics which we discussed. This is the database. Let's say if it is Oracle, the name of the database is retail, and the table is employee, in which the name, the table is the employee, in which EMP ID, EMP name, and phone number are the three different columns. We can also keep the data type. what will be the data type for EID? We can decide, let's say if the data type for EID is int. Wait a minute. It is int, and for name it is string only, that is collection of multiple characters, and for phone number again integer type. These are for 3 different columns. I'll say EMP ID, and the size you can also define, EMP name and phone number. This is for employee table. Okay, this is what we have within our database. Now what I need, after that I do need to store the values. Let's say within employee table I store 3 different values, 101 with EMP name as ABC and phone number as 111, and then I store the 102 with XYZ as my name and the value is 1222, and 103 and with PQR 333. Okay, so these 3, and one more constraint I can add it as primary key. Primary key, employee ID must be primary key. Primary key means it must be unique, it can't be null. Okay, so these are the constraints which we discussed. Okay, so these are the 3 things, the 3 datas we have within our employee table. Let's say after some time this 102, the employee ID 102 changes its phone number from 2222 from 222 to 444. Okay, so how the data will be stored? How the data will be stored within the database? The data will be stored as 102 with XYZ with 444. Okay, not only this, but the data for 103 and the data for 101 also, because this is database. See, the data for 101 and 103 will be same. That is already, because we didn't change anything within these two, so I'll keep it like this. But for 102 the data will be new for phone number. Okay, so as this is the database, so within database surely new data, the current data, the up-to-date data will be stored, right? But what about data warehouse? So what all will be stored within data warehouse? The data will be stored as historical data. What does it mean? Within data warehouse we'll store the new data as well as the historical data. So within data warehouse the complete new data, that is this one, that 101 the same data, 102 the new data, and 103 with the same data. The same data will be stored within data warehouse plus the historical data for 222 also, which we just changed, which we just updated. Okay, so 4 records will be there within data warehouse and 3 records will be there within database. All 3 will be new, that is the data which I haven't changed and the data which I just changed. So within database 3 records, within data warehouse 4, that is 3 plus 1. That 3 is your current data, the new data, the up-to-date data, and this one is your old data. So this is the meaning of the current data and the historical data. And now here comes the concept of normalization and denormalization. Normalization and so normalization here means that for each and every key there must be unique data. I can't store the repeated data within my database. That is the concept of normalization. But data warehouse doesn't support this. Data warehouse supports denormalized data. What does it mean? Denormalized here means will not work on the primary key concept, but will work on the concept of surrogate key. That is key that is not coming from the, it is again a kind of primary key, but that key is not coming from the source table. That key is not decided by user. That key is actually decided by the data warehouse, the developer, ETL developer, as well as the tester only. This is how we can say that these both are same and how these both are different. The concept is clear. How the data is stored within data warehouse and databases. Any doubt? Normalization. See, the thing which I'm explaining is in the form, in the a very layman term, so that if you are very new to ETL, you'll even able to understand. Any doubt till this? This is the difference between the database. Database is always normalized and data warehouse is always denormalized. One more thing, can I say that data warehouse is the extension of database? What does it mean? It means that the complete database as well as some more things, that is the historical data, will complete your one data warehouse. Okay, any doubt till this? And again, the same thing, data warehouse is used to optimize, to analysis, to make analysis, to analyze the data and to summarize the reports. This is the purpose of data warehouse. That's it. These are the differences which you are going to see, which you must know before moving on to the database and data warehouse. Okay, so now let's discuss about what is the architecture of creating the data warehouse, how we can create the architecture, how we can work on the architecture. So for that, it comes with source file. See the type OLTP, ERP, CRM, many kind of sources are there. On the source, we'll provide the transformations, we'll do ETL process, not only transformation but complete ETL process. And after that, I'm going to put my data to the data warehouse. Okay, this is what is required. This is what you must know, that we have multiple sources. On multiple sources, we'll apply ETL process. On ETL process, will give us the data warehouse, that is the target database. Okay, this is how in data warehouse looks. So what all contents will be present within data warehouse? Historical data as well as the current data. And what type of data? It will be a denormalized data. Okay, and next, here comes the concept of ETL. So what is ETL? See, I am explaining you that source, ETL, data warehouse. What is ETL? From here I can define. ETL is it comes with three different processes. ETL itself is a process, but it comes with three different processes, that is extraction, transformation and the loading. Extraction means, what is the meaning of extraction? I want to fetch the data. Transformation means I want to make some changes, make some conversions if required. And loading means to load the data to the data warehouse. And see, this is the extracting the data from the files, from any kind of file. I'm going to extract the data and then perform some of the transformations and then load the data to the target data warehouse. This is what we need. Okay, so extraction means fetching the data. And remember one thing, that data can be the heterogeneous. What does it mean? It means that it can be my text file, it can be my Oracle table, the table from the Oracle database, it can be from the CSV file, it can be from XML. Okay, and then transformations, according to my business requirement, we can make some changes, we can convert, not only according to the business requirement. It may be the data cleaning only, clean the data, that you may are passing the data with the repeated data, the same data, or with multiple blank values. That all things can be done within the transformation, within the cleaning the data. And converting, I can do converting on the basis of, let's say in the same table EMP, where I was having the ID as 101, 102 and 103. We may need that within our business the requirement is, instead of 101, it should come with E101, E102, okay, like E103. That all things will do which are required. Okay, that all things comes under transformation. And loading means to load the data in the data warehouse. This is how ETL process works. Okay, so within data warehouse, we have sources. To fetch the data from source, that is extraction. To make some transformations on the data source, we'll say this is the transformation. To load the data to the data warehouse, we'll say this is the L, that is loading, that is ETL. So these all things we'll discuss in our training. Okay, and in the last part is about reporting. Reporting means to make the analysis on the collected data, on the business data, is known as the reports. Generation of reports, help in BI to get the, so reporting, I can say this is the graphical view, visualized view on the collected data. That's it. Okay, now my question is to all of you, why we are going to do the reporting, why we are going to work on the reporting, what is the reason for that? The reason for that is your head, the person under whom you are working may ask you all these questions, or any one of these questions. How you can answer these questions? Only if you are able to implement the thing. Only if you are able to do the reporting. That all things we'll discuss. That all things are covered within the reporting. Okay, if one wants to know how the sale is growing, how the sale is going down, what is the percentage of products which are being sold, that things are being covered within the reporting. Okay, that things you can answer only if you have the collected data. Now, can you give me answer? Can I give the answer of under which product is the least, in which region? Okay, if I take this as my question, in which region, which all products are getting more famous, that is, which product is I'm able to sell more on the basis of region, can I give answer of this question on the basis of databases data only? If I have only database, can I give answer of this question? If I don't have any historical data, the answer is no. I must have the historical data, because there are multiple questions which one person is asking, and that questions will be asked only on the basis of history. How can I say that this product is getting I'm selling it more, in which region? On the basis of some things only, that some things are coming from the collected data, that is the business data, that is coming from the data warehouse only. Okay, so now very important thing again I'll say. See, we are discussing about ETL, that process, extraction, transformation, but now the thing is how we can perform this ETL process, how we can apply ETL, if this is E, T and L on the source data. That thing can be done with multiple tools. We have 22 tools with the help of which we can implement the same thing. And I have listed all the tools on the basis of what is the usefulness of each and every tool. You can go through this list, and this is what I'm going to use, Power Center Informatica. This is very famous, very useful, easy to implement, easy to learn, easy to understand, easy to transfer the data, everything. So the Power Center Informatica we are going to cover in our training. We may have, and we can also divide the ETL tools on the basis of till what extent we can use it. Like we have some tools that are open source, that we can we'll have the access to the creation of that tool, and we may have some commercial tools. Okay, and that thing on the basis of open tools and the commercial tools, we can decide what we need. Okay, you can go through this complete list. And okay, see, the thing is, these all are the tools. These all are the ETL tools with the help of which we can implement the ETL. Now, we are also going to discuss about ETL testing. So, what is ETL testing? We are discussing about process, how it is going to be implemented. Then we discuss about tools with the help of which we are going to implement. That is Power Center Informatica. Now the thing is, what is ETL testing? So what is testing? ETL testing comes after this. What is testing? Testing means to verify and to validate. Verification means to checking. If I want to check, if I want to know, if I want to make comparison, that things means to verify the things, to check the things, and validation means to make the changes on the basis of some verifications which we did earlier. Okay, so testing means to do verification and validation. But if I'm saying this is about ETL, then I'll say that verification and validations will be done on the ETL process from the data source to target its enterprise data warehouse. Okay, so verification I'll do on the collected data, and the which data, that will be the business data, not the raw data. And validations I'll make the changes if I need. And what all I'll do some basic validation check, I'll do data acquisition check, I'll do data integration check, data aggregation check, data quality check, data count check, completeness check, correctness. A very big list of things which I can do. Okay, so these all things will do. The basic validation test will include what? I'll just explain this one. Basic validation test will include the columns, the column names, the type of data that will come within the columns of the target and the source. We'll do the validation on the basis of that only. Okay, and what are the reporting tools? We also have a very big list of reporting tools, and I'm going to work on IBM Cognos and Tableau. We may also have Zoho as our reporting tool. Okay, we'll work on IBM Cognos only. Okay, the last thing which I'll discuss is what is the tester's role in ETL testing. If I'm saying that I'm going to test the ETL process, what is the role of tester? What tester will do? Surely tester is going to do all of these testings, including the basic validation test, that it is going to check that both source and the target tables do have the same columns, or if not the same number, but at least the content which I'm going to store, the thing which I explained. For the same EMP employee table, let's say within ID, that is for integer and age is of integer only. This is for source. Let's say this is our source table. And within our target, if I store, you'll give me answer for this. If by mistake I store ID for int, what will happen? What will be stored within the target? Wait a minute. What will be stored within target? See, age is here int and here it is string. So while transferring the data, what will be stored within target table? Blank, a null. That is, nothing will be stored because the data present within source is of integer type. But I want to store, if I want to store it of string type, I'll say nothing will be stored inside that. Okay, so this is again a kind of basic validation check. Data acquisition means from source layer to the staging layer, how the data is transferred. That is the source acquisition layer. Data integration means from staging layer to the data warehouse, how data is getting transferred. Data quality means from source to target data warehouse, I want to check the quality. I want to count if I have 100 records within source, and within target if I am getting only 50 records. What is the reason for that? Why I am getting 50? Am I passing any filter condition, that why it is not passing all 100 records? That is again a count check. Completeness check, if I want 100 out of 100 records, or surely 100 all the records should be transferred. Data correctness, I want to check that if correct data is transferred or not. Okay, that thing is again being done with the help of ETL tester only. And data cleaning, that is again a part of null. If I have some blank values within my data warehouse and I don't want to keep those blanks, how I want to handle those blank values? If I am saying, see, age can't be null. Let's say if person by mistake write the within source, that person write the age as 0. Is it possible that age is 0 for any employee? No. So what I'll do, if within source the age is 0, I'll handle it with 18, that minimum age should be 18 within target every time. This is how we are going to clean our data. If it is blank, if it is null, then I don't want to keep it as null, but I'll keep it as 20 only. So that all things are being done with the help of ETL testing. Okay, that all things will be done by the ETL tester only. And what will be the flow of my training? See, on day 1 I'm going to discuss about the basics on ETL, and on day 2 and 3 I'm going to work on the SQL Server Management Studio, and that is the database queries. Then on day 4 and 5 I'll start moving on the basics of data warehouse, normalization, denormalization, fact table, dimensions table, what all types of tables we have it in data warehouse. And after that I'm going to implement how ETL tools work and how I can do various transformation, and within this not only ETL tool as well as the testing, not only testing, I'll say this is the ETL testing. This is how I'm going to work, and in the end I'll take 2 to 3 sessions on the reporting within IBM Cognos and Tableau tool. Okay,